We get rave reviews. We're at UChicago twice. We were here last year and here again. And one of the reasons it goes over so well is not because we've got some great speakers, and that's part of it, but that's not really it. It's because we really focus on having you go take some action that improves your life in the next week to a month. So I think over 2/3 of the speakers actually have exercises you can use to improve your life right away. All right? And that's very, very important to us because people come to events and they say, this is great, this is useful, and then they don't apply it, and then they kind of forget it, and then maybe they hear about the idea a year or two later, and they're like, oh, I heard that before, why didn't I do it? Okay? If you decide to apply anything, we'd love to hear from you. If you email Tor, T-O-U-R, at givegetwin.com, it'll go out to all of our core team, and if you name a speaker that you really liked or have feedback for somebody or a question, we'll forward it to them, okay? So there's a ton of really good guidance. We've got some amazing people in here who are the very best at what they do. We have Angela Chung, who is a producer at Disney for 9 years. And she's going to be talking about how to set creative constraints to make more art. We've got the best-selling author, Taylor Pearson, who wrote The End of Jobs, and he's like a top essayist. And he's going to talk about how to get into entrepreneurship or apprenticeships and just keep yourself learning and growing. We got Kai Zhao, who's an elite project manager. And we also have some young people that are doing some amazing, amazing, amazing things in the world. And some people that are in between those two levels who are also really, really, really wonderful. So we've got just a really wonderful mix of people, all at different parts of their lives, all with things you can go apply right away. So if you do, and if you have feedback, we want to hear it at Tor, T-O-U-R, at givegetwin.com. This isn't about hearing from some smart people. It's about you actually applying it. So I want you to be thinking the whole time, all right, what am I going to apply? And it's not rude to take your phone out and to shoot a message of, hey, I liked the point just there, I'm going to apply that. Mid-event, go for it. It's all about that action, implementing those things in your life. People here are very gracious. They will write back to you. If there's a particular speaker you like that's not on our core team, just mention their name or what their talk was about. We'll forward it to them. And they'll reply, and it'll be nice. All right. So my talk is quite simple. It's about how to make things stick in your life, and you're going to get a couple of different takes along these lines, right? Beyond the scope of the talk, but a very practical and useful way to understand the world, right, is we can think about why do people do things and how do people do things. Starts up at a level like philosophy. This is like beyond it. We're just going to go very quick through it. There's like philosophy. There's like what matters to me. Everyone has one. You have one. It doesn't have to be a named philosophy. It's just like what do I feel is really important, right? So maybe it's I want to serve and be of service to the world. Maybe it's I think things should be really beautiful and you take life seriously as an artist. Maybe, though people don't always admit it, maybe it's you want to be wealthy and powerful and that's really it. You want to have a lot of power. Whatever. Maybe you want to be very comfortable. Everyone has a philosophy. You have one whether you realize it or not, whether you can name it or not. Okay, everybody has one. It's when you wake up, it's like what do you start thinking, what do you start feeling, what do you react to? But okay, let's say you got your philosophy down. Then strategy explains to you how you go about getting it. Okay, so hey, I want to be of service. Well, are you going to join the Rotary Club? Are you going to try to become a medical doctor? Right? Are you going to be a social worker? What are you going to do to be of service? You know, if you want to be as wealthy as possible, are you thinking about banking? Are you thinking about being an attorney? If you want to be an attorney, do you want to be a corporate attorney doing mergers and acquisitions? Or do you want to be an ambulance chasing attorney that's like, hey, have you known anyone that anything bad has happened to recently? Let's sue somebody together, right? There's many, many different ways to strategize towards your philosophy. Okay, this is all pretty clear. This is like why we get up in the morning, and this is like how we go about getting what we want. Then there's tactics. These are pretty simple as well. You want to be a medical doctor. Okay, I got to go study undergraduate pre-med. I got to get into medical school. I know organic chemistry is one of the really hard classes. You know, maybe I should start brushing up on that early. That's a tactic. All of this is pretty simple. It's like why we do things, how we go about getting what we want, what we do. But probably about 2/3 of people, some people this comes very naturally to, how to make changes in their life stick. But probably about 2/3 of people do not have a way to ensure that these tactics add up to a great life. That everything always comes together and their life keeps going up. So people start running, they get on a running plan, it's great, they're getting fit, they're running, and then they just stop running and they're not sure why. A year later they say, that was great, why'd I stop? Right? Somebody starts a small business or a little project, it's starting to go, or they're making some art, then they just stop. Maybe it was the holidays, maybe they got ill, maybe something went wrong, and they go, why did that happen? It doesn't add up. Because there's a fourth layer that does not get talked about all that often, which I think is the important one that a lot of people are neglecting. People think about your philosophy, think about what you want, your strategy, how to get it, tactics, little tricks and things you could do, ways to get there. But the way that people make it all add up, that a lot of people don't have, is operations. And that's what ties tactics together over time. Makes it feed back in. It makes your life just keep getting better all the time. So if you've ever started something that's been great and then had it fall off, that's a problem at the operational level. If you've ever discovered an amazing thing that's helping you get your life forwards and then not kept doing it, that's an operational problem. If you have a lot of good little things in your life, but they don't like click and come together, ops problem, all right? So I want to give you just 3 very, very, very simple things to do for operations. The first one is the hardest, and the bad news is if you don't do it, you will just fail at life, okay? Like that's the bad news, all right? So you have 2 choices. You could do it, and it's hard and it sucks, or you can not do it and like take all the consequences. Those are your choices, all right? There are caveats and exceptions to this. If you have a very simple life, or if somebody is dictating exactly how to run your life for you, you might not need this. All right, so if you're in the armed forces and you're currently doing basic training, you're at boot camp, they will tell you when to wake up and what to do and things, and you won't need this. If you have a life where you do the same thing every day, and you don't need to prioritize it all or balance resources, then you don't need this. But in the absence of that, every successful person has this, and if you don't have this, you're going to suffer. And I call this an operational keystone. That is one single thing to look at every single day that points at everything else you need to do. All right, so you need a keystone for your operations. It needs to point at everything else. You need to look at it every day. If you have more than one, you don't have one, you need one, and it needs to point at everything else. If you have 7 and they work pretty good, then guess what? You get the flu, you get sick, it breaks, now you got 7 things you're going to try to reinstall. You need one. It needs to be simple, needs to be usable. For me, I have a spreadsheet, I call it a lights spreadsheet. It has a bunch of little habits on it I do. It's very simple. I mark it a green yes if I do it, and a red N no if I don't do it. And that's it. That's the whole thing. There's things on there like make my bed, plan the next day, wake up by 7 a.m. Very, very simple. People say, well, that's so simple. Why do you need to measure that? Why do you need to manage that? Because if I take up running, I can say my weekly running plan is on track. Yes or no? If I decide I want to learn the piano, I can say played the piano scales today for at least 10 minutes. Yes or no? I have one thing that can point at every other one of my projects and can see if my nutrition's on track or my fitness is on track, music, learning, any sort of practical work, my email inbox is empty, projects are going, and so on and so forth, all right? So an operational keystone goes a long way. It doesn't have to be on a spreadsheet. It can be anything you look at daily. A lot of old school executives just have a paper notebook and they write it every night as to their plan for the next day, and then they look at it first thing in the morning. That's totally fine. A lot of people use calendars and write on their calendars. A lot of people now are using Evernote or a variety of apps, but you need to find one and you need to look at it every day. You can look at it and say, nope, not today. I'm not worried about it, but you need to look at it so that when you start having your habits disintegrate or your plans disintegrate, you can make adjustments. Second thing, so easy. Easiest thing in the world. Don't be fooled by the simplicity of it. It's very, very powerful. When you try something brand new, take a wild guess how long it's going to take you to complete. Okay? When you do something brand new, so you say, I want to research and buy a pair of running shoes. Guess how long it's going to take you. 1 hour, 3 hours, 10 hours? Guess. Wild guess. The fancy technical term for this is estimation. You're probably a little better at it than you think. But when you take a wild guess, even if you don't track how long it takes, you're going to notice 2 things. Right? The first is you're going to notice a lot of things you don't want to do because you're afraid of or scared, you're going to estimate take longer than they actually do. Right? So if you are really scared to do something that takes 20 or 30 minutes, you will estimate it takes 3 to 5 hours. So you will notice over time how long things actually take. If you're scared of applying for a job, you're saying, oh, it's going to take me like 7 hours to get my resume in. It might be 15 minutes. Right? If you really don't want to do your taxes, you'd be like, oh, that's going to take me 100 hours. If you have normal taxes, it's not going to take more than like 7 hours max for somebody with complicated taxes, right? Might be 2 hours on TurboTax, but you don't want to do it, all right? Second thing is if your project starts and never finishes, one of the reasons is because you greatly underestimated how long it would take. If you think someone's going to take 3 hours and it actually takes 20, that's where a lot of things fail and you don't get things completed, all right? So just estimating and guessing, just a wild guess whenever you do anything new goes a long, long way. You could build on that, but that's a really good place to start. Third thing, debriefs. Too many people don't debrief. They only analyze when things are going really badly in their life. I think you should analyze probably every day, but at least every week. All right? Too many people don't note when they're having successes and don't celebrate those and don't make them continue. So again, don't be fooled by the simplicity. I got 3 questions you could do to debrief every single day. I do these every day. All right? So simple, but it goes a long way. 1, what did I do right today? 2, what would I do differently? Now with these 2 note, You're not allowed to complain about like taxis or rain or somebody being late to something or anything along those lines. It's just what did I do right today? What would I do differently? But the third one is what environmental factors affected me. And that's where you can write that somebody came late and your plumbing leaked and whatever. All right? Just those 3 questions go a long way to noting things you did right and things you do differently. It's like reminding yourself to do a little bit better the next day. It like self-corrects if you're eating badly or you're not going to bed early enough or you didn't plan well enough, all right? For a weekly review, a lot of people don't do them because they seem so complicated. Again, 3 questions, so simple. If you email Tori at givegetwin.com, I'll send you these, no problem. So 3 questions for the weekly review. And this will like let you overview your whole life. 1, what's really going on? What's really going on? That's exactly how I phrase it. It's what's really going on. 2, so what do I do about it? 3, what matters, semicolon, what doesn't? Question mark. Yes, that's 1 sentence because it's grammatically correct and I said so. So what matters, what doesn't? If your life is going well, and next week will be like this week, it will take you about 20 seconds to do that weekly review. What's really going on? I had a great week. Fitness is good. Classes are good. Life is good. So what do I do about it? Keep going. Keep smiling. What matters? What doesn't? Actually, I'm doing what matters. I don't have anything to cut. But if your life's getting a little hairy and things are getting a little crazy, you might note, hey, so what's really going on? I got a lot of schoolwork, but I'm feeling kind of sick and run down. I've been pushing myself too hard, right? So what do I do about it? Well, as much as I want to push myself hard to get this class project done, I should probably deal with my health. 3, what matters, what doesn't? Got to keep my studies going, but I also got to make sure I really take that time for that health, don't push myself too hard. So it catches errors before they happen and also catches great things that you want to keep doing. And that's really the keystone of ops. So, absolutely, with any of these talks, if there's something you like about them, Tor, T-O-U-R, at givegetwin.com, shoot an email, let us know what you think, let us know questions, let us know what you're going to do. We got a mix of young people on the rise. The next woman I'm so pleased to introduce, that's Jen, and most people will introduce themselves, but I was just, this made my year. When she came and found us at UChicago unsolicited, over the summer holding an event and said she came to the first Give Get Win tour and it changed her life. And I was like, whoa, that's really nice. And I didn't make any of this up. It really happened. I thought, that's so amazing. Can you tell everybody else about why you did that? And it's just because she's an all-star and I'm happy that we were around when it happened. But please give her a warm round of applause and thank you so much for joining us. We got some great speakers.